All right, well, let's go ahead and get kicking off here. So thank you all for joining us once again for another 1 Million Cups virtual, and it's a 1 Million Cups Spark combination. So what is the difference between these two? Well, first off, 1 Million Cups is a organization that really focuses on the new and up and coming companies and really the struggles and challenges that those up and coming companies face. How did 1 Million Cups get started? Well, 1 Million Cups got started through the Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City, and they set an audacious goal of getting 1 million 1 million small business owners together for a cup of coffee. So then how do you do that? How do you measure that? And they came up with a brilliant idea that in all these little areas around the country, all these cities around the country, they would establish groups just like ours who come together once a week, once a month. It just depends on the organization. Typically, it's always on a Wednesday. So right now, there are hundreds of groups, thousands of entrepreneurs getting together for a cup of coffee to talk about their businesses. So this is our version of it. We typically do it once a month, and we'll have a couple speakers, and we combine this with our Spark event, which is Round Rock Chamber's brilliant idea to come up with a spotlight for businesses that are in existence, have been around for a while, and being able to kind of tell the stories of what it took to get to where they are. So you get to see the new and up and coming and fighting and struggling businesses, and you get to see the ones who are still fighting and struggling, but it's years down the road, and they can kind of tell us how they got through that. So a little bit about our group. My name is Jeff Kickle. I am the CEO of T-Works Co-working and Entrepreneur Center, and we have got 3 locations in Cedar Park, where I'm at right now, in North Austin, and then down in Dripping Springs. We also have an organizer team. So we cannot do this alone. We have a team of folks that we work with. First of which, Bill Combs, who's my partner in crime when it comes to the MC duties. We swap out. Joshua Brito from Don Quick, Cynthia Flores, Round Rock Serving Center, Celicia Sanchez Adam, Think Group, Jeremy Ransom, CTX Capital, Adriana Nunez McDermott, welcome from the Round Rock Chamber, our new Director of Economic Development. Lauren Sellers from the Chamber, we couldn't do this without her. She is amazing of keeping us together and herding the cats. Mark Richardson, Sendero Strategies, and of course our honorary Mayor Craig Morgan, who has been a huge supporter of this program literally since day one. We want to thank our sponsors. Eventually we'll get back there, but Holiday Inn has been a wonderful partner in this process. They have a phenomenal room that we meet at every month when we're able to, and hopefully that will be soon. Don Quick, been a sponsor from the beginning, No Time for Social from the beginning, and Round Rock Chamber. So today we're going to have 2 speakers during our 1 Million Cups portion of this. First of which is Gordon Butler from Pavilion. So Gordon,
let me see if I
I'm
can
unshare and give it to you, my friend.
Let me see if I can do the screen sharing here.
Yeah. Let me a second here. There you go.
There you go. Y'all see that?
You got it, bud. You just need to put it in presentation mode.
Okay. Pull it up there. Okay, this is Pavilion. We work with people who live with mental illness and substance use. This is just address. You'll see some of the things we do here. We utilize a strong peer-based community consisting of people with lived experience helping each other fulfill their goals, while challenging our members to help others as well. We're based on a model that's been around a very long time, over 70 years now. We have a proven success in the area of employment, education, breaking up isolation. Here in Williamson County, we've been able, for those who live with mental illness and substance abuse, been able to document and show how we can reduce hospitalization. We have reduced the recidivism level from 60 to 75%, which is normal across the country, to under 10%. And we've increased employment among a lot of people who live with mental illness and substance use. We also, some of the impact of COVID is that, like a lot of it, we lost over half our revenue this year due to COVID. We lost our fundraising ability. We have for example, we have a concession stand at the Dell Diamond and ATB Center that anytime anybody volunteers there on behalf of Pavilion gets $50 a person per event. Well, no, all that went out the window. We have, but at the same time, cases of mental illness and substance use has significantly increased. It has, you can imagine, gone up quite a bit. We opened in May. We work in the Baxter Hospital with family. We work in conjunction with Family Hospital Systems out on 1431, the emergency room. We utilize the space in the back. There's several thousand square feet that we utilize in the back. And working with them, we figured out a way how to reopen safely based on behavior of people who come in. And we've been able to stay open safely so far and do our work. But the demand for services has skyrocketed. For example, we were out in the community dealing with 2 crisis calls yesterday. It's just constant. We're not a crisis organization, but because we are one of the few that are open and in person, we have been called to play that role in Williamson County. It's really hard to deal with a crisis when it's virtual or phone only very well. So our permanent space that we were working on moving into has been delayed due to COVID. As you can imagine, commercial permitting process is slow to crawl as well, and a lot of the things we do. So one of the biggest challenges right now has been, number one, meeting the demand placed upon us while continuing to operate in a safe manner. One of the things that additional challenges is I am legally deaf. I'm deaf in my right ear, only have 5% left in the other ear. So all of my life, I've depended on lip reading for communication. Well, you put a mask on and you can be somebody I've known all my life and I struggle to understand what's being said. So we had, that produced an additional challenge on us that we've been able to meet and figure out how to work with and before anybody suggested that, yes, we tried the clear mask, but the crinkling of it messes up the lip reading enough that I still can't understand what somebody's saying. Second challenge is making up ground for revenue lost to COVID-19. We've had to get very creative. For example, I'm working with a business right now who's going to donate a percentage of their profits every month to Pavilion. Looking at some things, other ways to fund nonprofits when your fundraising event disappears. And also a lot of the grant funders have rerouted a lot of their funding toward COVID issues and things like that, as you can imagine. We did receive St. David's grant last week, 2 weeks ago, that has been very helpful. In fact, there's going to be an article in American Statesman this week, I think, about St. David's and Pavilion because of our ability to stay open, do the work we needed to do when all the other mental health places and substance use places shut down and went virtual. So that is a challenge for us as well. Anyway, let me give the screen back there's the stop share. So that's our presentation.
Thank you, Gordon. We appreciate that. Let me bring the screen back up here. Does anybody have any questions for Gordon before we move on to our next presenters? Okay.
Gordon, Gordon, it's Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
Yeah. Did you guys apply for any of the PPP funding or Williamson County grants or anything like that during this period?
Yes, we did get that funding. That helped us offset some of the loss of the concession stand and the fundraising. It did help us a little bit. It helped us a couple of months. So we were very grateful for that. And that funding is ended. So, but it did help us through a couple of months.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
We'll move on to our second presenter is Jen and Eric Stratton. Russ Chairman, Dan, glad to meet you. So good friends of mine. Be prepared to hold on tight because they are a machine together. Jen.
Good morning, 1 million cups. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning. We're just getting ourselves figured out here technologically because we're cool, but not as cool as Kickle.
Whatever.
Okay.
You should just be able to hit share and take it over.
Oh, well, no, it's not. Hold on, Kickle. It's dadgummit. Give me a second here. It's not letting me share what I should be able to share.
Well, fine.
Okay. Okay. I think we're trying to do this from our iPad here. And the option I had for, screen share is not there anymore. It worked fine before we started this. Can you make me a co-presenter by chance?
I think we are.
Are we a co-presenter
Yep.
already? Okay. Wow, this is grievously unfortunate right now. Hold on a second. Hang on, guys.
If it's on your iPad, is it the top that should say mute, stop video, share content?
Oh no, it does.
You see that?
It does.
Oh, okay.
The problem was that when I did this earlier, when you hit the share content button, it's supposed to say share screen and start screen share, and it doesn't. It's not saying share screen right now.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on a second. This might work. This might just work. Browse. Oh, yeah, hold on. I'm having to do this in a slightly different way, but give me
We love your knuckles too, dude.
Thank you. Hold on a second. Let me see if this can walk through. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Okay. I swear, guys, my apologies. This was working. I tested this just before we came in here. So give me 2 seconds to do something here on my computer, and then we can start this up.
So in a Michigan J Frog method, hello, my honey, hello, my baby, hello, my ragtime gal. While we're waiting, does anybody have any questions for Gordon? Any other questions for Gordon while we're hanging on here?
What are the plans for going forward? In terms, are you trying to find different revenue sources currently, and are you successful doing that?
That's directed toward me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, we've gotten, for example, one of the things we're trying to do right now, what they call a demonstration project. We partnered up with Mary Hardin Baylor University in Belton. We're doing a research project that we've already been part of one going on. That also helps on the funding end. We've reached out to a lot of our businesses that we work with, trying to work out deals with they can help support us on an ongoing basis. A lot of the grant work we've done, we just had to shift directions on. We just had to get creative in many different ways because of the atmosphere that's right now. And yeah.
We might open Pavilion Justice into accepting donations when lawyers give us people, because I do not ever get money from, referrals and stuff. So I probably am going to do that on the justice side and receive money type of thing. And I think that will help us tremendously on the justice side. Yeah. So that is one thing I'm going to be doing. And so Pavilion Justice can be more self-supporting in that area. And I think we'll receive a lot of funds that way, because I do a lot of work in the justice field and we never get any contributions. And I think that we can be. And working with the team over there, I feel that we can bring in some income that way, because it is really, really supportive.
Awesome.
Yeah, so like I said, just a lot of trying a lot of different things, a lot of different creative things.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right.
Okay, we're good. We're ready.
Strattons.
Can you see our screen now?
We can. Take it away.
Awesome.
Sorry about that. We're good.
Well, again, good morning, 1 million cups, and thank you so much for your patience. Isn't that the wonderful thing about COVID is we're all learning more about technology than we ever dreamed possible. My name is Jen Stratton, and I am president and CEO of StratSpeak LLC, where we coach confidence one word at a time. With me, as always, is my helpmate, my awesome partner, my chief strategist, and literally the duct tape that keeps the technological side of this operation going, Eric Stratton. When we first presented back in February, and I believe we were the second to last presenters in person, if my memory is correct. We presented first Wednesday in February, and we were talking about the need for good communication within companies. Fun fact, companies will lose clients and profit because of poor communication. A company's message is the selling point. If you've ever had to write a sales pitch, if you've ever had to present in front of 1 million cups, if you've ever had to talk about your company, that message is what brings interest, draws people in, and makes people want to work with a company. And when that message is communicated poorly, it breaks a business. Where we were pre-COVID was we had written a class, and I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The main focus of this presentation is where we were pre-COVID, how we pivoted and adapted to the pandemic, and what the outlook is for our future here at StratSpeak. Our services pre-COVID were writing speeches, teaching message management, producing polished, professional sounding speakers, and offering classes for small and large businesses. I am a debater who never grew up. I have enjoyed working in the written and spoken word for my entire professional career. So we're looking at about 25 years from high school forward, immersion in good speech writing. By producing professional, polished speakers, we focus on our fluency, making sure that ums, ahs, likes are absent from good speaking, and tickle knows firsthand. Welcome to my little friend. My trusty Nerf gun is what helps us ensure polished speakers, because every time our clients say they get shot. It is a marvelous and humorous way of breaking a bad habit. By teaching message management, we are including appropriate uses of nonverbal communication, reading one's audience reaction, and word economy. Our clients become proficient in pairing verbal and nonverbal communication to create a successful presentation and conversation. By offering classes for large and small businesses, we are helping employers help their employees reach bigger, higher communication goals. All classes teach fluency, enunciation, word economy, appropriate body language, and message management. That was the plan before COVID, And then the world turned upside down. Our COVID pivot was brought about by opportunity, an open mind, and a greater need. The opportunity came from a phone call from a friend in another business who asked, does StratSpeak do public information officer services? Talking to the media. Well, yeah. In a previous life, I was director of communications for a small nonprofit. And it's kind of like riding a bike. You don't forget how. At that point, my friend and I started conversing about what skill set her company would need because they weren't in a position to hire someone full time. So at that point, we had limited options with teaching a class. Things were going into quarantine, and I was able to do this working from home. Eric was able to come alongside as the chief strategist and pitch the bigger picture ideas, and I got to work talking to the media. This fulfills a greater need because StratSpeak is now pitching full communications director services and recognizing that other companies could benefit from the same level of service alignment, especially at a time of heightened interest and awareness in public health. And it sure doesn't hurt to have a familiarity as a company with such matters with our resident nurse right here on board. Our services post-COVID have opened a door to a greater opportunity and a bright outlook for the future, filling a larger market with a more refined business plan. First, we manage your message. Public information services taking your message and delivering it to the media as an official spokesperson. With crafting a message, communications director services include message management, speech writing, strategic planning, and a certain level of training basics. Example, if the CEO needs to be on camera, we provide that prep. We also teach your message, group training classes, and individual coaching on an ad hoc basis. Now to talk about our pricing for these new services, may I introduce the nurse and strategist, Mr. Stratton.
Thank you, Jen. So as we were looking at this, we were trying to figure out, since this was kind of a brave new world for us, pricing points. And we looked at this, and when we came up with this, we basically looked into account and took into account market forces plus business overhead for ourselves, and then also our specific area of expertise. And in doing so, we crafted a price point that we felt would best meet the needs of the market. And what we came up with was, for managing your message, again, public information officer duties, $5,000 a month. That comes out to be about the equivalent of $60,000 a year. If you look throughout, again, the market out there, that's about the average price of what somebody that is hired to be either a press secretary or public information officer tends to make. And again, the responsibility there is, in kind of drawing the contrast here, we're coming in as sort of the shock troop. You already have a message. The job of StratSpeak is to leverage our contacts or our abilities to go out and communicate that message effectively to the media in various ways. The crafting your message price point, well, there's much more that goes into that, because with that, we're coming in to help design the message, develop the message, strategize for you. And then, as we mentioned, there's a level of teaching that goes into that in terms of prepping, planning, organizing, taking the senior C-level people and ensuring that they have the tools and resources necessary if they need to be on camera or they need to be quoted before somebody, prepping them for an interview. So again, a director of communications, if it were in the private sector, would probably be making around $120,000 a year, thereabouts. So we priced ourselves around that 100 to 120. We priced ourselves at $120,000 a year, about $10,000 a month, looking again at our expertise and also what our overhead would be. Then we get back to what the teach your message training rates are. I would note that a lot of this, we have you guys to thank for this, because when we were last here in February, we had one price structure and price point, and we got a lot of good feedback from y'all. Y'all grilled us a lot, and we ended up taking this back into the dry dock and really refining what our price points, what our planning was for this. And then again, as we were getting ready to roll this out, unfortunately, the world turned upside down and we weren't able to roll this out in person. but we feel very confident in this price point. We've had people express interest in this, and we can still go out and do this. It's $100 per hour for one-on-one coaching if you're just coming up to us as an individual or you happen to be a nonprofit client. If you are a business client, and that's a corporation, an LLC, whatever it may be, it's $150 an hour. The group classes in particular, we refined this again based on what feedback we got from y'all. A 2-hour class would be $300 per person, a 4-hour class, $500 per person, or a full day 8-hour class, $800 per person, maximum 20 people. And the one neat thing about this, if you look at that and break it down, that breaks down that it starts out is basically $150 an hour, then it goes to $125 an hour, and then down to $100 an hour. We're trying to encourage the volume discount. The longer the course, the cheaper per person it is, but also the more content you're going to deliver. But it also provides for an opportunity for us to serve you, the client, in more ways, and also for us to be able to flex this and be able to also meet the needs of the client too. So with that, I turn it back over to our CEO.
StratSpeak wants to be your one-stop communications shop. It is our privilege to provide a hands-on approach to manage, craft, and teach your message. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer now. I promise Kickle will only get shot a couple of times the next time you see him in person.
And thank you again for your patience with the technology. I promise this was working before we turned this thing on. Isn't that the case these days? Blame it on COVID.
Sure it was. Sure. That I will say that COVID has been wonderful because I get shot less now in the face. So this is a good thing. All right. Does anybody have any questions for these two?
What is the online version of getting shot with a Nerf dart?
She makes me bring my own and shoot myself.
Wow. So she's persuasive. Okay, good, excellent.
Good salesperson. Any other questions?
What is the kind of the ideal customer for both sides of the service, kind of like your older services and your post-COVID services?
Sure. Really, any business that is struggling to communicate their message, and any employee that's having a difficult time reaching the next level in their public speaking skills. Pretty much, if you've got a message, I can help you with it.
So how does a company know they're struggling with their message? It feels like it's one of those things that is like a problem that might be obvious to you, but to the company, maybe they don't realize that's what's going on. Is there some things around that?
Sure. I would encourage any business to take a look at their profitability and their footprint in their community. If they're dissatisfied with the way that their marketing has been going, they're concerned about their media footprint, then that's the time to call a StratSpeak and make sure that their message is truly on point and what they wish to communicate.
I'll add to that a lot of times you see companies that hire a vice president marketing communications. And in a lot of these cases, these individuals have a lot of marketing experience. So they have a lot of abilities in getting the word out, getting, the company's face out there. But if there's not an underlying message, if there's not a story to be told, if the company in and of itself doesn't know what the story is it wants to tell, then it's very difficult for the marketing team to actually get the word out. In addition to that, something else that we found that has been very successful for us is not just external comms, but internal communication. Because a lot of times what we see is that companies don't fully understand and recognize that part of the issue is an internal communications problem. If the members of your team internally don't fully understand who you are, what you're about, who's on first, what direction you're going in, what your mission is, then how is it possible for them to have full buy-in to be able to advance the organization itself? So in some cases, those are all great opportunities to bring in a company like StratSpeak. because we can come in and fill in that need. And I'll tell you, for just working with a couple of clients that we've been working with, is that what we see is that there's been that kind of gap. They had this great marketing, program or marketing team, but they didn't have a quote unquote communications team or need. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it took a crisis coming up or perceived crisis before they kind of scratched their head and went, well, wait a minute, we should have somebody to talk to the media. And that's what provided the opening to us to then come in. And then that's where we sat down with the first one that came to us through Jen's friend. And we went, wait a minute, you think you just need us to talk to the media? There's a greater issue here that we feel like we could help you out with. And when we identified the need and sat down with them, they went, oh my gosh, you're right. We didn't know we needed you until we had you here for this one thing, but there's so much more that we'd like for you to do. Absolutely. Let's. And so then we went back and expanded and amended the contract at that point.
Awesome. Very cool. It looks like there's a question from, not that I'm moderating this, but I just saw a hand raised.
I was going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just catching up here. Hang on. I'm trying to get it to where I can see the chat here. Hang on. Hey, Josh, can you see it? Because
no, somebody just raised their hand, Jeff. It's true.
Yeah. Can y'all hear me? Or
Yes.
Oh. Okay. My question, I guess, is to go in a little bit more detail of what the initial intake and consultation looks like. So how do you start the conversation pre-COVID, post-COVID? And I guess the post-COVID, I'm leaning more towards, is there like an intake form or something online that you're doing to vet your potential clients, or to navigate where your services are best used for them?
There is not yet an intake form online. We simply ask interested companies to email us, and it starts with a conversation.
It's on the website. Our website has you fill out this and click it for interested, and then it sends an email to us, and we initiate the conversation from there.
Thank you.
Let's see who else raised hand. Huck?
Yeah, I know we keep asking almost the same question over and over again. My curiosity really is, you mentioned something that one of your clients was based on somebody you knew, which is a fantastic way to do that, of course. I'm kind of wondering, along the line of every good, self-help program, hi, my name is Hauke and I have a problem. That's kind of the first step to know that you need help. Are you seeing a lot of, intake that actually comes from people recognizing this and contacting you, or is this
actually, yes,
the very hurdle that you're trying to overcome?
No, it actually, it's really funny when it's kind of like how if you're a doctor and everyone comes up to you at a cocktail party and says, oh, I have these symptoms.
Or a nurse. That's happened to me multiple times. Can't tell you how many.
We have found here lately, anytime that we're in a Zoom call or talking with other business owners right now, it's, oh, you do communications. Hey, can you help me with fill in the blank? Well, sure. Let's sit down and talk about that.
And to kind of go back to the previous question, the first sit down it's free. It's basically the first sit down, that first hour, I guess, as it were, is just a conversation. It's an intake. It's a consultation. It's let's see how StratSpeak could benefit you. Is this really what you're looking for? Is this something that might make a difference? Is this the direction that you really want to go in? Does this work? Is this something that we can provide for you?
Awesome, thank you. May I give one tiny little piece of advice from a very unqualified perspective, and that's about visual communication. You may want to consider using a more contrast font on that one slide where you had the pricing on there, because like white on like pink is almost not legible.
Hulk, I have to tell you, I can't tell you how many times I've had to fix this thing because it looked great on my Mac. And then when I put it on the iPad, it changed. And then as you can tell again, my logo got completely screwed up, even just moving it from my
saw that,
my
yes.
Dropbox into my iCloud so we could actually present the thing. I don't know what's going on. It's technology.
Terrible.
But
You may want to
you're
consider converting it to PDF. That way it's actually way more portable, and that doesn't happen if you actually go online into different platforms.
We're doing that next time. I didn't know if Kickle would have let me do it that way, but it's because last time we didn't do it with PDF.
Hey,
Awesome.
you can blame it on me. That's fine. Whatever. All right.
Always.
All right. Well, thank you, folks. We really appreciate y'all being here today. I know the presenters appreciate the feedback and the questions and everything else. Thank you for joining us for this portion of our event today. Our next upcoming event is going to be December 2nd. So be here, and then January 6th. If you want to RSVP ahead of time, and we ask that you do, so we have an idea of how many people to expect, 1millioncups.com/roundrock/RSVP. Are you interested in sharing your story? Are you interested in doing a presentation to 1 Million Cups? So if you want to apply for that, go to www.1millioncups.com/roundrock, and that will give us an indication that you are interested. Now, here's the thing. You do not have to be ready to present right away. We have a team of folks that will work with you to help you get ready for the presentation. We're not going to throw you to the wolves. We're going to help you prepare so that you really show your business off best. So stay connected with us also, 1millioncups.com/roundrock, facebook.com/1millioncupsrr, twitter.com 1millioncupsrr, and hashtag 1MCRR. So any photos you take, any screen grabs, whatever you do, make sure that you share those on there.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, sir.
Jeff, so does this mean we get a virtual coffee mug for presenting?
You get a virtual coffee mug. Yeah.
Right there with your virtual
You receive this laurel and a hearty handshake.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, y'all. We appreciate you coming back on. So now we're going to shift to our Spark event. And this event is presented by Richards, Rodriguez, and Skeeth, attorneys at law. So I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Jessica Scanlon, and she is going to take it from here.
Hey, everybody.
Jeff, you're in the presenter mode for this screen.
Wait. I'm out of here. Boom. Share. How about that?
Awesome.
Right.
Hey, guys. Jessica Scanlon. I am the Vice Chair of Entrepreneurship for the Round Rock Chamber. And I am so pleased to have y'all here for our Spark speaker. 4 times a year, the Round Rock Chamber holds Spark events where we get to hear from a successful entrepreneur who tells us about their journey. And we all leave a little inspired and get to ask for advice or additional details about their story that might help us along the way. This wonderful speaking program, and it's had a great amount of speakers in the last few years, has been presented by Richards, Rodriguez, and Skeeth. And we have Jim Howitz, who's a partner at this law firm here. And I'm going to introduce him first. Jim, you want to tell us about your law firm?
Yes, thanks, Jessica. We at Richards, Rodriguez, and Skeeth, I'm a partner there. There's 15 lawyers in my firm, and we're a full service law firm for small and medium business in Central Texas. If I were going to do my 1 Million Cups presentation, I'd say my ideal client is a small or medium business in Austin. We provide services where we're your outside general counsel, which means we do everything that you need for your business from a legal perspective, and we are legal and business advisors. The reason why we're supporting the Chamber and specifically Spark, we want to help grow and support entrepreneurship in Round Rock and Williamson County. And so we have been a part of Spark since the beginning, and really find that it's beneficial, because one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got at a Spark presentation was that when you're early in your entrepreneurial journey, you should start cultivating a council of advisors, basically, a group of people that you can go to for all kinds of advice, whether it be accounting, business, legal, business coaches, technical advice in the area you're in, IT. You need to have a group of people that you can turn to, and what you really need to do is foster that group of advisors early on in your journey, so that as you grow, you've developed relationships with people and you can turn to them when you really need them. One of the things I like to tell people is that you need to get to know a lawyer before you need one. We are very individualized in that there's so many of us now that we come in all shapes and sizes and colors and forms, and you need to find one that you can work with. And so you need to foster a relationship with a lawyer, because you're going to need to turn to them on your worst day. That's what we're here for. Is we will help you with the transactional stuff, and we will help your business grow. But we're really also there when things are bad, and you need to be able to talk to us, to trust us, and to do that it takes some time, and it takes time to develop a relationship. And the firm really believes in relationships and knowing you and knowing your story and being a part of your success. And so we're thrilled to be here, and we're thrilled to hear from our speakers today. And thanks for giving us the opportunity to sponsor this.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. All right. I'm super excited about our speaker today. My husband and I, big fans of this business for many, many years. So I was going to shorten her intro, and then I read it and I decided I don't want to take anything away from her intro. So I'm going to read the whole thing. Kendall Antonelli co-owns Antonelli's Cheese Shop in Austin, Texas, which she opened alongside her life partner, John, after a honeymoon decision to quit their jobs in pursuit of a passion with purpose. I love that. Antonelli's Cheese Shop celebrated its 10th anniversary 2 weeks before COVID hit Austin. In that time, it has included a cut-to-order cheese and pairing shop, wholesale to 175 plus Central Texas chefs, over 200 yearly events, and an e-commerce site and warehouse shipping nationwide. Travel Plus Leisure magazine named Antonelli's one of the best cheese shops in America. It's been voted a local hero food shop 8 consecutive years, best Austin food bites, and best specialty food shop. Antonelli's is currently recognized nationwide for quick pivots in the pandemic era, which is why I think it's so great that she's speaking today, especially after our 1 Million Cups event around the same topic. As a result, both Capital One and GoDaddy have picked Kendall and John as national spokespeople, and Antonelli's has taught over 7,000 folks through virtual cheese tastings. Kendall has been awarded the Austin Business Journal Profile and Power Award, Austin Under 40, and Mental Health Community Champion, in part due to her board service with the Austin Child Guidance Center, La Dame's Discofier, and the American Cheese Education Foundation. She's given a TEDx talk and is keynote speaker for her real, raw, and relatable storytelling and her experiences as an entrepreneur, depression survivor, small business owner, and former rodeo competitor and queen and mom. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kendall.
Thank you, Jessica. I cannot stand when anybody reads my whole bio, so I should have prepped for that. I'm sorry. Thank you. So good morning to all of you. It is a good morning, right? We woke up today, so that's good. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere political with this. Clearly 50% of us think one way and 50% of us think another way. So any opportunity that we can find to come together and find common ground and be together over shared interests, I think is important and very much needed right now. If you can't tell, I'm talking to myself to ground myself today. I got up this morning and said, how am I going to speak or think about anything else? So instead, thank you for the opportunity at some normalcy, and yeah, to learn from each other. I am always learning as well. So feel free afterwards to provide constructive feedback to me as well about my pitches. I'm laughing to myself because I'm coming to you from the only clean corner of my house right now. I have children running around who are in virtual homeschooling, and they might run across the ceiling just a minute. And John said, Kendall, you can't present with a green background. You know what people do with people in front of green screens these days. So anyway, I figure I'm not special enough that any of y'all will spend any extra time transposing my body in front of some other thing. But yes, I'm acknowledging that I'm in front of a green wall because it's the only clean spot in the house. So good morning. I'm fine, by the way, if we put this back in look at everybody mode. I love gallery mode. I love seeing your faces and your energy. I'm tired today, so I don't really need to stare at my own face. I love staring at all of your faces. I am a strong believer in you give what you get. Everybody is either giving positive energy or giving negative energy, and it's not pro or con. It just means we either have it that day or we don't, or for that minute. And so I would love to soak up any positive energy that I'm getting from all of y'all. So let me see if I can put it back in. All right, there. Now I can see as many faces as I can in 2 screens. So thank you. Thank you for those of you who are brave enough to put your faces on today. Other ones of you, we get it. We got it. But I love being able to talk to actual humans and not just myself on the screen. So Jessica read a long, lengthy bio. I'm Kendall Antonelli. I own Antonelli's Cheese Shop here in Austin, Texas. Yes, we opened just over 10 years ago in February of 2010. Let's talk about how we opened. How does one become a cheesemonger? Did I go get a graduate degree in cheesemongering? No, I did not. Much to my parents' dismay, much to John's parents' dismay. Instead, we were on our honeymoon in the Caribbean, on an island in Grenada, which is an island that's 7 by 13 miles. So I say all that because it is not known for its dairy agriculture and AKA cheese. But we're sitting there on the beach and I can feel the hot sun on my skin, a little bit of perspiration. I've got that cold drink in my hand. Oh, wouldn't we all like to transport ourselves right now? But just to feel it with me, like the cold drink, and I got a little umbrella in it. I don't know, mine's probably a little bit harder. John is definitely drinking something pink or purple because he likes, pink or purple drinks with umbrellas. I can feel that white sand in my toes. I can hear the waves crashing. And I just look up from this cheesy rom-com book I'm reading, and no judgment. You can't judge me. I'm on my honeymoon. Or you can judge me. I don't care. I was on my honeymoon. So I'm reading this romantic book, and I think, man, I've made all the right decisions in my life. How I would have never thought I would be here right now. And John is reading his teen sci-fi apocalyptic novel, introspective, end of the world type of thing. And he looks up and turns to me and says, honey, I'm going to quit my job when we go home. And I was like, okay, what do you think you're going to do? And he's like, I don't know, something in cheese. So that is literally how it played out. That's not our media story. That is truly our origin story. When people say, but why cheese? We don't really know. So we say cheese picked us. But I do remember John saying, no, he is an auditor. He's a certified public accountant. And he said, nobody likes an auditor, but everybody loves cheese. I'm just going to make people happy. At the time, by the way, asterisk, apologies to all the auditors out there. If you love it and you're passionate about it, go for it. For John, I always joke that no one puts baby in the corner. So he got really tired of working in a lot of offices where they stuff you in the closet in the back and everybody's ticked at you all day long because you're trying to help out their business. So for him, it just wasn't something that he was super passionate about. I was running a program at the time for survivors of human trafficking here in Austin for a local nonprofit. I loved the work. I still love the work. I'm still passionate about it. It was very strenuous, very difficult, and very challenging. And we wanted to have a family shortly thereafter, or start a family, but I was working on some pretty high profile cases that were sensitive and dangerous in nature. And you could Google our address and it would pop up. And I sort of just got in my own head, but long story short, decided I needed a pause from that. And so meanwhile, we start running, what does this business look like that John's going to do? And by the way, I was like, you go do you. I love my course. I'm going to stay on my course. So he went and he got an internship at Kirby Lane. Does Kirby Lane offer internships? Why, no, it doesn't. But you don't know unless you ask. So he asked for one. And lo and behold, the best thing that could have happened, because he's a CPA, their accountant, for reasons, was no longer there. So he got to not only see all the books and do all the books, but also fry bacon, clean the toilets, go through manager training. And so they said, sure, we'll let you see the insides of all the operations if you help us with our books. So that was one example of where it was a win-win. In every single partnership and collaboration we take on, we look at, is this truly a win-win for all the stakeholders involved? I think that's my biggest takeaway is, and not just like, oh, this is good marketing for you. Like, how can it really mean something for everybody who comes to the table? So that was an amazing opportunity for him. He spent 6 months, 7, 8, that he got to open one of Kirby Lane's new stores. And what he realized is, I do not want to work a 24-hour diner. This is exhausting. This is tiring. This is definitely not my passion. We started running a grilled cheese club out of our house. He went and interned in France for Hervé Mons, one of the world's cheese leading affineurs or cheese agers. Different discussion, or we can talk about in Q&A. And then we traveled in Europe, France. In Europe, we did France, Italy, and Switzerland at the time, and then domestically in California, Oregon, and Vermont. So all of this is like, okay, what's kind of happening? And he had said on the honeymoon, give me 2 years. From the day I quit, he goes, I think I can go get an MBA program and come out of school with a lot of debt and a business plan, or I think I can actually put that debt, I think I can make my own business plan and put the debt straight into a business. So if I haven't started something in 2 years, I will go back to being a CPA. So 2 years and 5 days later, because I hold him to that 5 days, I'm like, you didn't make it. I could have held you to it, but we opened the doors to Antonelli's Cheese Shop. Where did I fall in line with that? And why is it me talking today and not John? Well, when we were running that club out of our house, it really came to be that it wasn't about cooking. We weren't passionate about cooking. It was that those moments where everybody gathers in the kitchen, and we were in a tiny little bungalow home in Austin, but everybody gathers in this little kitchen, and then the storytelling and that proverbial breaking of bread. But we're like, oh, try this cheese. This was made by this 16-year-old because she started showing goats in 4-H, and then she decided to do dairy and da-da-da. Oh my gosh, remember that weird basket with jam that we got last year at Christmas from some, I don't know, obscure place? Oh, get that jam. Let's try that. And it really became about storytelling and community. And so when we sat down, we have multiple times in our lives, we butcher paper our walls. So we literally hang up butcher paper on our walls with masking tape and get out markers. And we just say, what are our hopes and dreams? Are we on course? Are we off course? What do we wish we were doing or not? We butcher papered it. We said, okay, what are our strengths? And we determined that our strengths are eating, talking, and being together. So you may think, well, that's not a strength, but they say that you're good at, or you naturally do what your strengths are. And we're like, well, we just like to eat a lot, and we like to be with each other, and we think we're our best version when we're together. And we talk a lot. Like, clearly I talk a lot now. So by the way, if anybody has questions in the middle, do the raise the hand thing, or I'm watching the chat room and Jessica can jump in if, and we'll do Q&A too at the end. But so we said, okay, that's our skill set and what we want. And how do we put this into a business? Okay, great. People aren't going to pay me to come like, here, Kendall, let me give you money so you can sit there and eat and talk with your husband. Like, no, what's the business plan? So that's where we linked it up to and came up with, which is now kind of buzzwords everywhere. But what are we passionate about and what's our purpose? And it has to be both of them, and they have to be married. So we have to have a passion with purpose. And John and I were able to give a whole TED talk on this. And so we determined, well, our passion is, originally it was like, well, it's the storytelling. It's linking consumers with producers. It's telling the story and the labor of love that is artisanal food. Food that's still made by hands, food that isn't all robots and mass produced. It's a dying art form. It's for many reasons less accessible. So how do we bring this back and not lose our farmers and Heartland's dairy industry? Sorry, I was like, where am I going with that? I don't know where I brought up the Heartland thing for. But anyway, so how do we not lose this dying art form? So it wasn't that, it was just telling these stories. And then we realized, well, we have a personal mission to spread joy. So John and I say our personal mission is to spread joy. And it just so happens that we do it a lot of different ways, but one of them is through cheese and through one good bite at a time. So, and what is the purpose? What's the greater good? Oh, well, educating folks, but keeping those producers in business. So we married our passion with purpose. And then that's how we came up with our mission. And our mission is to do good, eat good. For us, that means that we source cheeses and meats and beer and wine and chocolates and honeys from people who make them in a way that's great for the environment and their land. They treat their animals well, they treat their teams well, and it has to be a delicious product. And then in turn, when people come spend their hard-earned money with us, we do all the same. We take care of our team, we take care of our community. We have a pretty good give back program. And for us, that's our do good, eat good cycle. So for the grammar buffs out there, it's not about eating well, although cheese is very healthy. We can talk about that, but it's about good as in the noun, the greater good. So do good and eat good. And that we can make conscious decisions with our dollars that support that lifestyle and artisanal goods. So that's kind of our mission. That was the story of how we got started. We did have a 110-page business plan, which later we found out a business plan is really like 2 pages. So this was also a strategic plan. And then we ended up accomplishing more in 10 years than we would. We did our 10-year plan basically in 2. So when we opened, did we ever think we would make it to 10 years? No, we were like, oh, this will be fun and cute. We'll do it for a couple years. I mean, ideally, we made our investment back. But it was let's take the risk. I remember my mom saying, the whole, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I thought, well, that's kind of defeatist. And so John and I have always lived with, I'm damn sure going to try. So if we just say, I can't have my cake and eat it too, meaning, oh, you guys, that's so cute. You're going to start this little cheese shop and work together every day. And, oh, nice try. Or, oh, you want to treat your team well. Or, oh, you want to give back. Oh, it doesn't work that way. Those aren't the rules of the game. That's so idealist. And instead, every day we work to create the business that we want. And some days it works and some days it doesn't. But I'm damn sure going to try. So don't wave that cake in front of me until tell me I can't eat it. I will find a way to eat that cake. And if it's not going to be that way, I'm going to keep attacking it from other ways. So getting to what does the business look like today? Jessica read it all for you, but it's really 4 different branches. So if you didn't know, we have a walk-in brick and mortar cheese shop. We say that's our first baby. It's in Hyde Park in Austin. We also have a second location that is our events venue, a cheese house. It's across the street. We have a warehouse out on 290, and that's where we do all of our wholesale and our e-commerce from. And then just for this holidays, we rented an extra warehouse, literally y'all, to store ice packs. But that's, again, a whole nother story. So we'll see if that was a smart pandemic pivot. Those are our 4 different revenue streams for our business. At times, we have wondered if we bit off more than we could chew and if we should have just leaned into one. Because at any given time in our 10 years of history, all 4 of those programs have never all been revenue positive or profit positive or generated profits, I'll say. But throughout 10 years, it's always been 2 different ones that are leading the charge. So that diversification has really worked well for us. There have been 5 or 6 cheese shops nationwide which have closed just during the pandemic. And instead, knock on wood, gotta do it, we are actually ahead for the year due to some big changes that we made. So that is pretty amazing. Now, that being said, we're going into our November, December is traditionally our bread and butter busy season, where what we make in November, December is what we live off of the entire rest of the year until we get back to November, December. It's not the way we like it. We try to generate sales in other times of the year, but a lot of people don't like cheese when it's 200 degrees outside in Texas. So what will November and December look like for us? We don't know. We still are not accepting walk-in traffic. No customers are allowed in our shop. So we're doing everything by phone and by email, and then curbside pickup and shipping. So the other notion, though, is you can't sell it if you don't have it. So we have stocked up on goods. We have a ton of inventory. We got this whole new warehouse, literally just to store ice packs, so that if we get all those shipping orders in, we'll have enough to send out because there's a whole lot of supply chain issues right now. But who knows which of that will really stick. As I kind of wind us down on this and switch us into a different conversation, I think some of the main challenges in our life have been determining the difference in growing versus scaling, and which was which and which did we want to do, and making sure that we intentionally chose the path that we wanted. And along those lines, I guess scaling being, if we should just define that, scaling being doing more business, but more efficiently. And then growing, okay, well, I can add on another program, but I'm going to add on more infrastructure and more people and more. So you can't take off in growth as well as you can take off in scaling. There have been times when we have drank the Kool-Aid and thought we wanted to scale. And then other times where we realized, wait, we're really in this for a lifestyle opportunity for us, that I can take off at the end of the day and pick up my kids from school. And so for us, did we want to put all those eggs in that scale basket, or are we okay with continuing to just grow? I do believe in that you're always growing or shrinking. So at that point, there was a time when we used to say, let's just hold the line and not do anything. And I believe with that mentality, then oftentimes you're shrinking. So to me, you're growing or shrinking, and we're hopefully growing, but we also have not necessarily always wanted to lean into that scaling opportunity. And in fact, in 2018, we opened a second location downtown that was a different concept and incorporated a restaurant on it for numerous reasons. It failed horribly. We lost a lot of money. We thought it was going to take down our whole business. For my husband, it launched a pretty gnarly PTSD. He has PTSD from it and depression. We had to let go of our entire team except for 4 people down there. And it was just tough. It was very bleak for our business. We felt like we had failed each other. We felt like we had failed our teams. Yes, there's no failure. You're only learning lessons. Yeah. That doesn't make you feel good when you're going through it. So, of course we've gained perspective. Of course we have new information now, but at the time it really didn't feel like that. But what that did is we, in 2019, then came back and said, let's go back to simple. Let's go back to what's simple. And if we want, we can grow it. And so everything that we had to bootstrap for the last 8 years as a business, let's just look at it. Is that the right way to do things? Can we make it more simple now? We create an opportunity that it can scale if it wants to? So all of a sudden, how do we make our shipping program better? In the event that we want to start shipping more, it's not just one person sitting here duct taping it. What are we going to invest in to do that? And 2019 ended up being our best year yet. We generated our most profit, and John and I laugh because it's the one year we said we're not going to do anything besides just do what's simple and what is our passion and what we're good at. Barbara asked, how many employees do we have now? We are at around 30. That includes a lot of part-time people. So we have intentionally very flexible model, and that is to really accommodate the needs of our team members. And so I'm happy to go into that in a little bit. We are debt-free. We are all self-funded. Okay. So then we moved to COVID. And I will say, so we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. In that 2019 year, we said, oh, this looks really bleak. We're going to close. And I remember saying to my husband, like, we will not go out this way. We can go out, but it will not be this way. And we're going to make it, by gosh, until we can say we have a decade in business. It may stink, but we will say we have a decade. Like, I was like, think of our future bios some year. We wanted to say, oh, this decade-long cheese shop. I was like, just make it to a decade. Like, I was just trying anything I could to get us to fixate on moving through that moment. So we joked that make it to a decade and we'd quit. And then, which we never wanted to do that, but that was the joke. And then we made it to a decade, and then the pandemic hit, and we're like, no, King Zach's, we don't want to quit. We want to keep going. This is an amazing business and we love what we do. We just had to get back to what we were passionate about. So from the moment Mayor Adler canceled South by Southwest, we lost 95% of our wholesale revenue to all of the restaurants, and we had ordered in all of the cheese that they needed. Because of our relationships, we weren't going to hold them accountable to it. And at the same time, we were sitting on a lot of product that would be waste. We had already sold $30,000 or $40,000 worth of events that all of a sudden we were going to have to refund those tickets. And we immediately couldn't allow, or we chose not to allow customers into our shop immediately. So we like to say that we made more decisions in that 10 days of business than we had in the previous 10 years of business that impacted which way we were going to go. We basically sat down and we looked at what is everything we could do. Now, which are the most important profit generating ones, And ultimately our goal is, because we had been burned by that 2018, is we are going to do our dangest to not let go of a single team member. So we got to be money, money, money. Which ones of these? Yes, it would be great to do 8, 9, and 10. But if that's a lot of work and not going to generate money to keep this team employed, that's low on the totem pole. And we got together with all of our management team. We like to call it lining up the dominoes. We lined up those dominoes and then one by one knocked them down. So what did that mean? We launched a la carte ordering online, a hotline phone call center, Cheesemonger Live, which has now been written about in the national media, which means you can basically FaceTime in to if you want to see your cheese. But we were the first in the nation to do it, and we shared it with some other cheese shops. And then we took all of our cheese classes virtual, and that really saved us. The new numbers are that we have done virtual tastings for over 13,000 people since March. That includes 2 global tastings where we had people on in Australia and Hong Kong and Ireland. We had 10 different countries represented. And that has gotten us national attention. And then yes, GoDaddy and Capital One have both reached out to us as examples of a small business that made big pivots. And they are paying us to tell our story nationwide, which is super cool, y'all. I was like, wait, you going to feature us and pay us? Oh yes, that is my rate. Thank you very much. Where I want to turn it over to questions, but I'll end it in sort of my big takeaways for our business and our core principles. Our big takeaways, what is your passion and what is your purpose, and can you marry them? It doesn't mean everything is always hunky-dory, but can you get back to those or reset to make sure that you're on track with that you definitely don't get what you don't ask for, whether it's that crucial mentor or relationship or partnership or collaboration or internship or loan, attorney, that relationships are everything, and valuing your strategic partnerships and collabs to be authentic, be who you are. That has helped us most in our messaging. Communication is key. You've got to be your own biggest cheerleader. Because when we started, people were not like, oh, a cheese shop. They're like, really? Really? You're quitting your jobs and you're going to open a cheese shop? And those same people are the ones that when we were down on ourselves and thought about quitting in private circles in year 8, they said, you cannot. Look at everything you have created. You cannot walk away from this. And then, of course, don't undersell yourself. Know your value. There are times and opportunities to do things for free, but there are also times and opportunities to say, yes, I do, and here's my pricing. So our core principles: 1, passion with purpose. We've already talked about that. 2, be true to ourselves and to others. That's our integrity clause. It also means if I know something, then I know it, and if I don't, I acknowledge it. It means that our team gets to show up as they are in the skin they're in every day, don't have to bend to be something they're not, and that we have a place for everybody. Number 3 is be a juggernaut of awesome. That's our customer service. It is, so if you don't know what a juggernaut is, it's not good enough to just be awesome. Like I can be at home and just like be awesome in my workout, but that is not a social impact business. That is not making a difference. To us, to be a juggernaut is to be an overwhelming force of awesome. Am I giving you energy now? When the gentleman comes in, crews, and delivers our linens each week, did I make his day better for the 15 seconds he was in our shop? To the postwoman who comes by, to a kid who opens the door and goes, oops, I thought this was Hyde Park Bar and Grill, see ya. Every single person I see, I have the opportunity to either try to put a smile on their face and make their day better, or to make it worse. And my goal is to always be a juggernaut of awesome in their lives. 4, family first, then business. To us, however you define family, we want to just basically keep it all in perspective. We know that we make a living because we want to take care of our own personal needs for food, for our health, and put a roof over our head, right? And then for the people that we love. We need to keep that in perspective. So family first for us always comes before business. And for John and I, if we determine that the business is negatively impacting us, from the very beginning, we called it our bailout clause. John was like, we just walk away. And we've had a couple times in the 10 years where we said, is this what we want? How do we get back on track? We're at each other's throats. How do we communicate better? And then we reset and we get back on that track. Last but not least is improve every day. So we always invite constructive criticism. I respond to every freaking social media request saying, oh, thanks. What did you like? What did you not? Because I am our CMO right now. And it means that we ask our team, people who are naysayers, we ask them and say, great, we get that 1-star in Yelp. We reach out and say, hey, would you like to schedule an appointment with the owners? We want to know how we let you down and how we can make that better. So for us, there is no best, there's only better. It can be exhausting to work for us under that mentality, I think. But to us, it just means that every day we have the opportunity to do something a little better today than we did yesterday. Ultimately, my goal every day when I lay down and put my head on the pillow, I saw Michelle Baker say this one time, is I want to lay down and put my head on the pillow and just high five myself. And it's either like, girl, way to make it through the day, or girl, you did awesome today, or just, damn, I hope we get a good night of sleep tonight. But whatever it is, I hope that for each of us, we can find a way to live life each day where we give ourselves that high five at night, just having made it through the day, doing what we can do, and knowing that, you know what, we get up and we get to have the opportunity to do it all again tomorrow. So thanks, y'all. Let's see. Let's do some questions. How do you do a virtual tasting? Great question. So yeah, I am not a fan of those things where you just watch people eat and you're like, oh yeah, that's lovely. You actually have a plate of food in front of you. We will guide people through 7 different cheeses, 7 different food pairings. They can either pick it up contactless curbside, or we ship nationwide. We also launched a cheese class in the box. We were the first in the nation to do that. And we have cheese 101, we have American cheese box, we have cheese and chocolate pairings, cheese and honey pairings. So the gift itself comes with a recorded video link of my husband and I doing the tasting with you. But if you get 12 people together, say like as a family reunion, you ship 12 boxes or everybody buys one across the United States, we'll get on and we'll lead that tasting live as well. So it's either a standalone gift or one where we all come together. Seth, we have looked into, people have reached out about franchise modes. We are franchising. We have not looked into it deeply. It is not something that we're currently interested in. A couple of the main reasons so far, but like I said, we haven't done that much in-depth research. One, we like owning our name. It's our name that's on the wall. It's Antonelli's Cheese Shop. And so to us, it's that customer service model that I have the power to make it better or not. And I'm not wanting to give up some of that control about the branding about that. 2, I really don't know. The future for brick and mortar is very challenging. So it cost us $150,000 to start our brick and mortar. We're open book. We talk about that. There was a time in our vision where we wanted to do 6, sort of Taco Deli style, but 6 in Austin, then go to San Antonio, potentially Houston, or my family's all up near in the DFW Metroplex. And we were like, is that really, as things before COVID, as things are increasingly purchased online and you can buy cheese on Amazon online, and then with Amazon and Whole Foods partnership, there is great value to your mom and pop local shop. Is it a sustainable model? No, it's not a sustainable model. For us, it's sustainable because we have those other 3 revenue streams involved in it. So the small, just mom and pop shops are having a really hard time. So for that, we see a lot of other things we could do, like you have one anchor shop in a city and then multiple pickup locations around. We've looked at kind of that model, but just in itself, opening a brick and mortar, I think a lot of people could do what we're doing right now. And in fact, in the era of COVID, we're proving that we don't actually need a physical shop. Now, our whole brand has been built on that, but it takes a lot of money to get that brick and mortar up and running and pay for that.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. What do you think? I always like to ask our Spark speakers, like, what is one thing that you wish you had known that you know now, like in the first couple of years? Like if you could have just figured that out sooner, you would have made all the difference.
I think any entrepreneur will tell you, or anybody who's done any business development, hire your weaknesses, which means 1, you have to know your weaknesses. So can you do a really good self-determination evaluation? What are my strengths and where are my opportunities for growth? But also what am I innately not great at? The biggest smack in the face for me that I'm always talking to and mentoring new entrepreneurs is the HR component. You cannot control HR. People are diverse and have different needs and have good days and bad days. And that was really challenging for me because I'm a people person and I like to please everybody. And I just thought I'd be the coolest, awesomest manager in the world. And I think my skill set is all of that actually makes me one of the worst managers. I have a hard time being direct. I'll think I'm really clear, but then afterwards it's like they did not hear what I was saying. And so I've tried really hard to hire good people developers around me. I wish I could say everybody who comes to work for our business, when they leave, positive or negative, could always look back and say, oh, everything was really fair and they were always developing me. And I think in those early years, I don't know that everybody would say that because I was learning how to be a manager and I was messing up a lot. And nothing that's a grave HR issue. I'm just saying that wasn't something I was ready for. And when you're first starting out, you don't have the resources necessarily to pay for that. But I wish I had more quickly invested in that skill set, both in training myself for it. When we started, we didn't even have an HR manual because it was just John and me. And then we were like, as we started hiring on, oh my gosh, wait. And it was cute. We're like, oh, we need a vacation policy. Oh, we need a sick note, So now we're much more robust business. I'm so excited to say this year, I wish we didn't wait this long for this, but we just launched an EAP, an employment assistance program. If anybody wants a referral, I'm happy to offer it. But it's only $2,500. And so our entire team has access to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, a nurse hotline, physical therapy, mental health. And so that is something that I'm so grateful that we finally invested in. And I wish we had done that soon. So I think looking back, it's just not being so naive about how to work with people and thinking that I would naturally be able to do that. And instead having invested in my own development to be a better manager and leader.
Awesome. I think we've got one more from Hulk.
Yeah, Kendall, thank you so much for walking us through this. I'm one of those guys who likes asking why a lot. So you walking us through the whole passion and purpose, that had a sweet spot. So thank you so much for doing that. I'm kind of curious because I've seen Antonelli's grow and become something of a just so endeared local brand. How would you go about doing this today where you build a brick and mortar brand that now has a chance to jump off into an online stand because you have the brand, you have the recognition, you have a following, literally a cult following that won't go anywhere but to Antonelli's. How would you go about doing this in this day and age if you were to start right now? Would you just like, nope, not happening? Or do you feel this would be a huge opportunity and you could do it again from scratch?
I will tell you, okay, competition always makes you better. A mantra I must repeat.
I'm not trying to build a t-shirt. That's not what I'm doing.
No. Where I was going with this is to say in the pandemic, I have counted at least 16 businesses which have started, which is like this is going to sound demeaning. I was going to say every mom who's at home was like, you know what? I love making boards. I'm going to start a board business. And so there are 16 new businesses that make cheese trays now and grazing boards and kits. And on some hand, so what I was saying is that competition makes you better. It makes us go back and look, what do we do well? What do we wish we had always done that we hadn't launched before? I like to live by the mantra of progress, not perfection. A lot of times we get held up and don't launch a new program because we think it's got to be perfect. And so instead it's like, wait, is this going to make me better? Just launch it and then be able to adapt quickly. That's another thing, Jessica, is just one thing we've done really well over the years is John and I will throw 100 darts, 99 won't stick, but the one that does, we need to be able to roll with it. If we launch a new idea like we did during the pandemic, if it works, great, make it better. If it doesn't, immediately scrap it and keep moving. And that was an exhausting whirlwind for our team who were crying. We were just tired. So we were crying. Everybody was grateful to have a job. I'm proud to say we haven't let go of a single person and instead have hired multiple people during the pandemic. But it took our entire team like just hustling and coming in and like, what's new today? What are we doing today? But it was just like, we knew that the model we were operating under wasn't sustainable and we had to keep going until we said, okay, can this be sustainable? So back to your question, because I haven't answered it yet. The point being, there are a lot of people who are launching cheese businesses right now. So I think, what does it take to launch a good brand? It certainly for us helped that we were tied to our brick and mortar. That said, what does the future hold? I think it's exciting now that concepts are being proven that you don't need a brick and mortar. So many of these other grazing box businesses are getting a huge following. So to me, it always comes back to those simple marketing basics of people connecting with you. What's your story? I have a friend who recently started up, Katie Kismet, great local jeweler, everybody. Okay, Katie Kismet, anytime we can champion somebody else. But she was like, she is a brand creator and does marketing and graphic design. And all of a sudden, but she doesn't put herself out there. And she got some feedback from a mentor who said, we need to connect more with you. Like there's a lot of cute jewelry out there and good jewelry out there and artistic jewelry. Why should I buy this from you? And so she's more of an introvert. And so she's having to actively put herself into her brand. So I think for us, one of our best strengths over the last 10 years has been authenticity and being who we are and owning it, owning what we do well and celebrating our victories and knowing that they're not John's and mine, that they're our whole team and our communities, that literally the fact that we've done 13,000 participants in virtual tastings doesn't mean John and I are doing it right. It means 13,000 people have supported us and they deserve all the credit and all the thanks. And everybody who's either done one or comes back weekly, every single tasting we do, we end in like a huge gratitude session and I'm usually crying through it, but it's not inauthentic. It is just this business exists because people are supporting it, because our team is showing up and working it. So thank you for that. My kid runs in front and she may or may not have just showered or whatnot, and then owning it and saying, you are supporting a mom and pop. This is us. And so I think connecting to brands is more important than ever. People also like to see you live your dream. This is more common rhetoric that we talk about these days, but 10 years ago, people just loved hearing that John and I went on our honeymoon and decided to quit our jobs because they see themselves in that, like, oh, I don't like where I'm at. Can I just do the same thing? And so you can absolutely have the same story without quitting your job. It's what else are you doing to spark that passion in your life? A long-winded answer because I'm a long-winded talky woman, but I think absolutely people can launch brands right now. They don't need the brick and mortar. In fact, it's really hard to do brick and mortar. I just re-signed my lease yesterday. And it's about authenticity and connecting to your brand. So it's all still about storytelling and why should somebody support you? It's in a way, it's easier to have the sexy like support cheese than it is sometimes to say like support these legal services. So really as the Strattons were saying, and as our sponsor today, what is it of why somebody should come and who are you and who's your business? And for us, that's everything and telling that story and that gathers support. I also got a question about outsourcing our HR responsibilities. Yes, we do that now. We do outsource HR, but that is one of the highest price tags for a small business like ours. And so we shopped around, we're happy with who we're with, but it's still, each time one of those bills comes in, that's still one of the hardest things for us to legitimize and pay for. And then we're like, oh yes, okay, there's a reason. We know we're doing it legally and by the book. And sometimes that can be challenging because as a mom and pop business, we would rather operate in a way that HR would recommend against. For example, during this pandemic, we've hired on 3 or 4 partners of people who worked in our business. So the partners all got laid off. And then we hired them on. So then all of a sudden you have on a shift 2 people who are from the same household with 2 other people. So traditional practices would say like, oh, it's not that it's not doable, but that's room for some challenges in there, like favoritism or what's happening in a shift. For us, it was a huge opportunity. We led with our core principle and said, family first in business. If we can take care of your household, let's get everybody paid and in a job. It also helped our team for safety reasons. This was early on in the pandemic and we really didn't know anything about coronavirus that much. And the less people we can have we're all in pods. So 2 people from one house is less risk than 2 people from 2 different houses. So it actually was helping meet a lot of our needs of keeping our team safe and living with our core principles first of family first in business. So yeah, we do have an outside HR consultant that we pay, but that is one of the hardest fees, I think, as a small brick and mortar business.
That's awesome. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I think Kendall, thank you so much for your time. And just everybody do yourself a favor and do a virtual tasting, or our team did a private tasting and it was the highest rated activity from 2020 that we did as a team. So do yourself a favor, do something like that for yourself this holiday season. Quick announcement. We do have, I want to introduce y'all to Adriana. I know I'm not going to put her on the spot and make her do anything, but she is new to the Round Rock Chamber. She'll be with us as the Entrepreneurship Council, helping us with our initiatives for the upcoming year. So everybody, when you get a moment, say hi to her. And then we do have another Spark event combined with 1 Million Cups, December, I want to get the day right, 2nd, the first Wednesday of December, right? So that's December 2nd. Yes, I am correct. Okay. And our speaker is Dr. Kimberly Davis, and she is the CEO and founder of Run Lab, which is another great Austin brand. And they just made it on the fastest 50 this year for Austin Business Journal, and another great female entrepreneur. So I will see you guys December 2nd. And if you guys have any questions about the Round Rock Chamber, 1 Million Cups, please reach out. Until then, everybody have a great day. Bye.